Hi guys, it's Allie with Chaos Monkey, and I've got a finish video, show and tell video. This is the Stilante shawl by Laura Nelkin, and again, I'll show it to you hanging up as well, since we're so close. And you can see the ends here, and it has beads. I don't know how good you guys are going to be able to see those. It shows up much better in real life. They're very shiny. It's just on the camera in the pictures, they barely show up. But you can see there's beads like doing that all across the bottom here. Let me see, hold on a sec. Alrighty, so here's the pattern, and I don't want to give it away because it is a paid for pattern, but you can see there was different beading options. You could bead the whole thing from the top down, you could bead like, I don't know, 2/3 of it, or you could just bead the bottom portion. I just did the bottom portion. I guess I was just in the mood to bead, but I didn't want to be like a zillion beads. So I think I only did like 300, and if you wanted to do like from top to bottom, it was a lot more than 300. I think 650 I think for option B, and option A I think it's even more than that because you can't put all the beads on at once. Yeah, see, then you have to string on another 700 for option B, so that's like 1300 beads just for the second option, etc, etc, etc. So she does have various options on how much beading you want to do in the pattern, and I did the one that required the least amount of beads, so I believe I used 786 beads, and that was plenty for me. So but anyway, I used the yarn that she has in the pattern because I actually had it in stash. I had bought this yarn years ago to use in this pattern, and I didn't. I started it and I ripped it out for some reason, and it's in Fibro Fibers Nightfall Fingering, and it's a gradient, as you can see, but I do not think Fibro Fibers is in business any longer, so you cannot get this yarn from her anymore. And again, like, I was just trying to use up stash yarn for an old stash patterns that I had picked out to use them up. So I went ahead and I had beads in stash from various projects, I had the yarn in stash, I had the pattern, and so this year I was trying to pull out the old patterns yarn, the yarns that I picked for the patterns, and actually get some of them done. So I did, and I really like it. It hangs really nice, so when I show it to you hanging, this end curls super nice. So, and I'm sorry guys, it's been so overcast. I've been kind of putting off filming because, again, I don't have any fancy studio lights or anything like that, and my camera is also kind of poop, my phone / camera. So I'm trying to brighten it up a little bit, but it won't go any higher than that. So, but it's always darker in my viewfinder than it is when I edit, so it always throws me off if it's too dark or not. But as you can see, the way she dyed the yarn is she kind of, she starts with a darker color and then it kind of speckles into a lighter color. So she had a really cool dye technique, but again, she is no longer dyeing, so I haven't been able to find one comparable, but to be honest, I haven't like really scoured for one. Because I had those. I also have a purple one just like that in stash, so I really need to use those up. And then I finished a pair of socks. Those are my leftovers for me. And I was going to try to do a pair of socks a month, but I'm behind. I'm totally behind. So these are actually from what are they from? Which month? I think I did February's. I did March's. which is that really bright Rasta one that I gave to sent to my brother-in-law. And these are probably April's. And we're in June, so I'm behind. I'm like a month behind on socks, but that's okay. Too busy. And this was just my standard sock pattern. They've been washed and blocked and just kind of folded up. This is in Patton's Croix sock, which is one of my favorites because it's really, really durable. And I like the striping. The self-striping keeps it active and not boring. And this is in Purple Haze. If you can see it. I don't think it's going to want to focus. The white's blowing it out too because it's trying to color correct. So sorry about the variations. But yeah, just standard simple sock. I do mine 2 at a time. Haya, size 0 needles on a 40-inch cable. I just do a standard toe, but I do a not fish lips kiss. Judy's Magic cast on for the toe. And then I just knit to the heel, then I do the fish lips kiss heel, and try to use up as much yarn as possible on the cuff, and then I do like a 1.5 or 2-inch cuff depending on my mood, 2x2 rib, and then I bind off with a Russian bind off because it's really, really stretchy. And if you want to know how I make socks, I do have a video on how I make socks. It's not a sock making tutorial. It's if you already know how to make socks one at a time, or you're just interested in other ways to make socks. It's just kind of like how I do it, but not a full how do you make a sock tutorial. There's a lot of good videos out there if you guys are interested. And mine was more like how I maneuver on my needles for 2 at a time for people who do socks 1 at a time and we're kind of interested in converting what the best way would be, and just to see it in action, you know. Because I used to do them 1 at a time, but then I never finished my socks, so I had to switch to 2 at a time, and now I'm happy. Let's see, now for, I think those are my only finishes, and then for in progress, I have another pair of socks. These are gift socks, so they're bigger than my standard socks. Because I have like 8.5, and these are like size 10s that I'm making, so they're bigger. And they are out of, oh, don't blow out. Hold on. There we go. They're out of Regia. I don't know, I've heard it said Regia, and by Schockenmeyer, but I think they actually call it Regia, but who knows. And it's perfect socks because I actually got these on sale on a website. I can't remember where I bought them. Maybe it was Naughty Lady Yarns. But anyway, they had this on sale, so I went ahead and bought it. But I don't need anything to show me how to make 2 perfect socks 1 at a time because I make my socks 2 at a time. So what they do is they put a whole bunch of yellow. Now keep in mind this is not how you would see it because it's one giant ball. And they give you a yellow leader, and then you pull that out, then you start knitting, and then when you hit a certain point, it tells you how to do it, and then you get another yellow after you're done with your first sock that pulls out of the ball to start your second sock, so you can do them 1 at a time, but they come out the same. And that's what the whole concept was for this, and it was designed by Arnie and Carlos. Oh, here's some instructions too. So they start you off, and then you make the first sock, and then you pull it out to the second yellow start, and then you make your second sock, depending on how long you need your socks. I did not need that, and these are for top down only because the way they've designed it to pull out was so that you hit your cuff in this color, and then the stripes come out if you go top down. Well, I wanted my socks to come out this way, but I'm going to do them 2 at a time toe up. So all I did was break it into 2 balls where the yellow started, and then I reversed the ball. So I wound it up, and then I pulled it from the outside and rewound it so that they started from the same point. The only difference is if you start from the top down and you make a sock about this average size, which is designed to do, your stripes will end up relatively in the same spot, but because I did toe up, there's a lot of extra at the end of the toe. Okay, so all of that to basically say that I had to, I'm not following the balls for what they're meant to do, but if you do them one at a time and you want to be able to line them up perfectly, this would be a really good option. But I just bought it because it was on sale and I like Regia, and so I'm going ahead and make them. And I just did it my way. And we're now to the first stripe. So as you can see, my first stripe is this one because I'm reversing it and working toe up. And my sock, I had more length here before I hit it, because again, they give you, if you work top down, these stripes will line up just at how they have them, and they give you lots of extra at the end so that you can make your sock bigger. I started at the end, so I have a lot of socks. So what I had to do was I realized I was never going to hit this stripe, so I went ahead and cut the yarn and started it closer to the stripe. So my stripes are off, but if you follow it the way that Arnie and Carlos designed it, you won't have that problem because you'll be working top down. This is the average size foot for most people, and so it'll line up pretty much the same, and then you can just make the toe longer if you need to, but your stripes will be relatively in the same position. So I don't want to make the yarn look bad at all because I didn't follow the ball instructions, if you get what I mean. So that's why my foot is longer, because I realized I was never going to get to this stripe because I started at the very end of the ball, and so my stripes will not line up like the picture, but that's fine. But these are size 10, so I'm hoping I'll finish that first stripe section, have a little bit to go, then do the heel, then have the other stripe, and have everything else pretty much line up. It's just that this section is going to be more plain before you hit the stripe. I was just going to let it go, and then I realized I'm never going to hit that stripe because they give you a lot of extra yarn at the end. So I kind of had to do a snip snip and get closer. And so I'm just making those socks for a friend. And oh, and here's the label for the yarn that I did the Stilante in. I stuffed it in here. It was in color silver, but like I said, Fibro Fibers is no longer in business, so it's kind of irrelevant. It's just sitting there. And yeah. And this bag is my watermelon bag, but it's from a bag maker that does not make this bag anymore either. So this was from, on Etsy, it was, who was it? Because she didn't put her label in. This was one of her early bags. I can't remember, but I'll put it in the description bar below just so you can see her stuff, but don't expect to get this bag. She doesn't make these. She does do custom bags, though, on Etsy. Fat Girl Sewing, that's who it was, Fat Girl Sewing. Fat Girl Sewing on Etsy, and she made it. And then this bag I got from a different one on Etsy. Did she put a label in? No. So I will look her up and put that bag. I've shown these bags before, but I know I'm probably going to get questions, so I'll just put the information in the description bar down below. And then the other thing I wanted to show, oopsies, is I bought some yarn. So this is Turtle Pearl. This is Wonder Woman. And you can see it's self-striping sock yarn. And what Turtle Pearl does is, I've used her yarn before, but I haven't bought any in years because, quite honestly, I was just broke. And so now that I'm working, I can buy more of my favorite yarns again and try to get some more in stash. And this is, she divides them up into 2 balls, or 2 skeins, so that you don't have to, and so that the stripes will line up. So she kind of does some of the hard prep work for you, especially when you do 2 at a time socks like I do. So I love that, and I love her dyeing. Her dyeing is really, really nice. And so I bought her Wonder Woman colorway. I'll also link her down below, but it's just Turtle Pearl yarns on Etsy, right here, etsy.com. And it's Emily, and she does really great work. And you just want to make sure when you wash them that you do it in cold water, because she does use such great color that it could run a little bit after because it's so saturated. So I usually do it, I usually block everything in warm water, like not cold, not hot, just kind of a lukewarm. But with her stuff, I usually first block it for the first time in a cold with a little bit of vinegar, just because that'll help lock the color in even more and stop it from getting into the other colors. Because, you know, don't get me wrong, she doesn't have a ton of runoff or anything off her colors. It's just that there's that potential with, always that potential with reds, blacks, blues, to always have a little bit of, every time you wash them, there's always a potential that some of that color is going to come out. So if you get any hand dyes that are really, really saturated like this, it's just good policy to always try to wash them in cold, or maybe even with a color catcher, just to decrease the, you know, the overall, over time, with use, color bleed, you know what I mean? But, nothing against her yarns, she does amazing work, there's not excessive bleed, but when you have these nice whites against these reds, when you wash the socks, you just want to keep with colder temperatures just to prevent any bleeding in the future. But yeah, she always does amazing saturated colors. I've made a couple, at least one pair I can think of off the top of my head, out of her yarns, and the color has held up amazing. And you know, even with, like, I know I've washed them in warm and they still held up great, whereas some other hand dyers from really good companies, I've kind of neglected doing it in cold after the first 2 washes, and it was a black and yellow, not her, it was the other one, and that still bled after like multiple washes when I went to a warm. Hers did not. So just to kind of give you an idea, it's just kind of like it just happens, doesn't happen. Sometimes it'll happen with blacks, sometimes it happens with reds. So if you get a lot of really vibrant, beautiful hand dyes, it's just kind of good just to kind of do a colder wash every time. If you want them to look good. I usually have used my socks, so usually by the 3rd or 4th run, I wash them all together in a warm, and I just don't care anymore. But if you're one of those people who babies each pair of socks, you probably want to wash them or soak them all in cold, and then air dry them, and then, you know, fold them gently with love into your drawer. Me, man, I wear the crap out of them. So with the last pair I made out of turtle pearl, it was a pink and a purple, and the colors did not run, even though I ended up washing them in warm eventually. But I have worn the crap out of them, so they are kind of pilling and felting. So I didn't want to bring that pair and show you because I didn't want to make her look bad. But they have held up amazing. I'm just abusive to my socks. So you will definitely have long wearing socks if you buy her yarn, and if you baby that pair of socks, it will last forever. Me, I destroy them. So, well, you know, I have so many. I just wear them and wash them in warm and get it over with. I do air dry them. I do hang them to dry, but because I kind of throw them in my washer on gentle with warm water, they do tend to pill, and so don't do that. If you want your socks to stay pristine, hand wash, cold, you know the drill. So, I haven't finished the cat puke scarf yet. I'm still working on that. But I'll show you where I'm at on this guy, because I know you guys wanted to see the finish. I've actually finished the scarf. It's sewn in. So you can see here, here's his tongue, his teeth, and it's sewn in. And if you guys didn't know, this is a pattern, and I'll link it down below, for a scarf. And here's the scarf portion, and it's a barfing cat. And in the original pattern, it's a rainbow barf, and this one is a kind of a puke barf because it's for my daughter, and she requested to be pretty much as gross as possible. So, I did finish the scarf to the colors that we agreed on. They are attached, but now I'm going to be putting puke stuff into the scarf and be done with it. So, what we're going to do is do some hairballs and some fish skeletons and whatever else I can think of, and kind of attach it throughout the scarf so that when she's wearing it, it will look like the cat barfed hairballs and fish skeletons. You get the idea. So this is it so far, so I haven't finished it. Again, super busy. I've been working over full time and I haven't been able to put as much time and energy in everything. I have to do things that are a lot more mindless. For the hairballs for this, I've kind of designed them. I did find a yarn for it, and then I just need to make them. For the fish skeleton, I think I found a free pattern, and again, that's going to use my brain because you have to do a lot of shaping, so I kind of put it off. But I need to get this done so I can send it to my daughter who requested it. Oh, and here's the rainbow version. I actually made a rainbow scarf out of the colors I had in stash first. So here's a rainbow version. The pattern has 7 colors, but I didn't have another color that would work. So I just made it out of the 6 colors. And here we went ahead and did the 7. We just had a repeat of the green just to make it a little wider. So I'll probably make a second cat in the future with the rainbow version, and probably find another color to do the 7 color for this, or maybe not. I kind of like it with these colors. Doesn't really need that 7th color, and if anything, it would probably fit better inside the cat if it was a little skinnier. But you know, whatever. And I am making another project currently out of one of my Mary Maxim kits. I think it was last month. But I am not making the pattern. I am making something different out of the yarn. So when I finish that, I will show you guys. Because what was the original? I think it was a poncho. It was a poncho. It was the yarn for the poncho. So it was last month. And I have made plenty of ponchos, and I didn't want to make another poncho. It was like 2 big square panels out of that yarn. I'm actually making something different. So I will show you that when it is done. So I say I don't have time to knit and crochet. I'm still knitting and crocheting. I'm just not making as much as I normally would. By far. So, alright you guys, that was it. I will see you guys later. Bye. Hi guys, I just wanted to show you the Stilante on the mannequin. So here's how it looks. Sorry, it's either too dark or too light, so, but you can see here how it hangs really, really pretty on the mannequin. So it was pretty fun to do. Even with the beading, it does take a little longer, but you can see how pretty it hangs. And then here, you can definitely see how pretty the ends are. And the beads only go from the middle, like from this piece across to this piece, because I did do the least amount of beading. But you can kind of see them here. They, like, again, they don't really come up well on camera, but you can see them in person quite a bit more. Even if I darken it, you just don't get that sparkle the same way. So there you go. And you can see the overall size. It's a smaller shawl. I would probably say like more like a shawlette maybe, versus a like medium or large. It's more on the smaller side. It's not super small, but it's right in between, so just perfect. So, alright you guys, again, sorry about the lighting. It's overcast, and then it's too sunny, and then it's overcast right now, and my camera needs to be replaced so I can stop complaining about it. So hopefully you can get a good idea, but so pretty. Alright you guys, I will talk to you later. Bye.